If you want to talk about this on the podcast.
Yeah, we'll talk about it on the podcast. It makes for a decent. Are you going to watch a football game during this? During the
It's the
recording?
AFC Championships.
Oh, okay.
It's like the last 48 seconds.
So to catch everybody up to speed, last Saturday that we're recording this is January 28th, I think. We were out to dinner with some friends, and I had just finished eating, and all of a sudden felt all the blood in my body rush into my legs, and I got really lightheaded and very weak feeling. And then it kind of passed. Sunday, all day long, I felt more or less normal, but I could tell that something wasn't exactly right.
No.
Monday comes around, kind of feeling the same way all day at work, and then that night, I was trying to sleep, and
Sunday night, right?
Monday night. Monday night, I was trying to go to sleep, and all of a sudden, like, everything got real quiet.
No.
Like I couldn't hear anything, and it felt like my heart stopped beating, and then all of a sudden it started beating like extremely fast, like it was pounding in my ears.
No.
And like I was like, fuck, this is a heart attack. Like that's got to be what this is. So I went in the living room and I told Mary, I was like, we gotta go to the hospital.
Yeah.
And so we ran.
What time? Like, was this like really late at night? Or?
It was like 9:30, like around bedtime. So we went to the emergency room, and the whole time at the emergency room, I was just kind of freaked out.
No.
And they were measuring my vitals and everything, and my blood pressure was high. But it came down because the longer I laid there, it just kind of calmed down after a while. But they did an EKG and did some blood work. You can see I got a little bruise right there. Yeah. So they sucked the blood out of me. And they gave me a saline injection, which I hate. I hate getting saline injections. Just because it makes you could taste it in your mouth, and it's just,
that's not fun.
It sucks.
What they mean is salt water.
It's just salt water, yeah. Which is interesting because they do that to keep you from being dehydrated.
Right.
But they stick salt water in you. I don't understand.
Yeah, but they tell you not to drink it out of the ocean.
Well, I think the microbes in fish piss is probably a bigger reason for that.
Big Saline doesn't want you to know.
Big Saline. They're just scooping it out of the ocean, sending it to hospitals.
like this lagoon.
Yeah, little soupy lagoon. But yeah, so they did some blood work. And the doctor came back in and he was like, "Oh, they did chest X-ray too." They're like, "Everything looks great." No. They're like, "There's nothing that indicates that you had a heart attack or gonna have a heart attack." He was like, "Your chest X-ray looks fine. Everything looks healthy. Your breathing's normal." He was like, "But your TSH levels are extremely high, and so TSH is the hormone that your brain makes to tell your thyroid what to do." Mm-hmm. And the normal range is 0.45 to 4.5. Mm-hmm. So the maximum allowable is 10 times the minimum. Yeah. Mine was 4 times the maximum. Oh. It was like 16 and a half.
Yay.
And so I was like, well, I'm no mathematician or doctor, but that doesn't seem right.
Yeah, that seems a bit off.
Seems a little bit off. So yeah, I have a doctor's appointment on Tuesday, I guess, to have my thyroid looked at. Yeah. And I'm 30. So I'll be going on some thyroid medication here probably pretty soon. Now, I will say that I don't think I was dealt a bad hand genetically. I think mom and dad do have thyroid issues, but I also made terrible decisions for 30 years straight that may have contributed to part of this.
He's saying that you don't think you've helped the situation much?
No. The car was already coming down the street. I just paved the road.
There you go.
Yeah. But yeah, it was very...
So you feeling better now, though?
Yeah, I mean, I more or less feel normal, but like...
Have you had any more episodes like that?
No, not like that. I really don't even know what brought that on. I'm not sure what happened at dinner. but what happened at dinner freaked me out.
Yeah.
And then I think I kind of just was in my head about it for a couple of days straight. And then when I was going to bed at night, I think what might have happened is I had a panic attack.
Yeah.
But I can't say for sure because I never had one before,
Yeah.
or I've never been told like that's what that was.
Yeah.
So I can't really say. But yeah, the whole thing was it was very. It was just odd. The whole thing was odd. It really like threw me off and like put me off my game. Like I was definitely not the same mentally for a few days.
Yeah.
Because as far as I knew,
this is it.
I was either having a heart attack or I am about to have a heart attack. But yeah, so, and I've also kind of been weird about food lately.
Really?
Like I haven't been eating nearly as much just because. You know, a couple of times after that happened, I would eat something, and almost immediately after eating something, I would get that same feeling where I was like, I felt drained.
Interesting.
And
I wonder what the cause of that is.
I don't know. I have no idea, but I'm down 9 pounds this week.
Oh.
So if that tells you anything. But yeah, other than that, I'm great.
Other than this horrific incident that I had, doing pretty good.
I feel so bad for Mary because, like, this is like the second time now I've got her in the middle of the night. Like, take me to the emergency room. I mean, but, you know, the first time, of course, was my kidney stone. I didn't know what the fuck that was. I had no idea. I thought I had like a ball of fire in my body out of nowhere. Like I spontaneously combusted on the inside. At least she wasn't asleep this time. She was still kind of awake.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if I've ever had like a sensation like that before. I know that like I've had instances where like I'll be like sitting down and I'll stand up too quick and like I feel everything like rush. Like I get real lightheaded or whatever, and I have to like sit there for a second. Like if I was to take a step,
I'd fall over.
I would fall over.
Yeah, I started.
Was it sort of like that, like where you felt like very lightheaded, or
it wasn't so much dizziness as it was like just lightheadedness. Like I felt very swimmy.
Okay.
Like when it happened at dinner, when it first all went down or whatever. I like your road worker jacket, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
Is that for when you're running at night?
It is.
That's fine.
Well, I want to just like run like while it's raining.
Yeah. But yeah, when it happened at dinner, we were out with Chris and Maddie, and Chris was sitting across from me, and he was speaking to me.
Yeah.
And when it happened, I couldn't hear him.
Really?
I was just looking at his face like.
You're like, I don't know.
I was like, I'm
what
like,
in the world it is that you're saying.
What is happening
right now?
Yeah. Yeah, so I'm going to go to the doctor and see if they can figure out what the hell's going on with me. And this might be the catalyst I needed to get back in the gym.
Yep.
And lose a little bit of weight.
Well, you know, the good thing is like, there's a lot of people that, you know, they end up having like some health like scares or whatever, or just some issues or just whatever it happens to be.
Yeah.
And you can really kind of turn it around. I mean, you don't have to be on medication for forever. I mean, like if you make a conscious effort, to start exercising and stuff like consistently. It doesn't have to be like this like balls to the wall immediately type deal.
You're gonna
like,
burn out quick.
Yeah, right. You just you try to like set like a precedent. Like this is something that I do every day.
Right.
And like then you slowly just like increase the volume. Right.
It's like with high blood pressure. High blood pressure more often than not is caused by diet.
Right.
And you don't even have to be overweight to have high blood pressure.
Right.
You can just eat like shit and have high blood pressure. Because if you're packing yourself full of like cholesterol and sodium and fat, your heart's like, well, dude, I'm pumping like peanut butter through my veins, right?
What do you want me to do?
Like it doesn't matter that, we're 6'2" and 130 pounds. Like I'm struggling. One of the worst things.
Just fucking cheeseburgers and milkshakes all the time.
Taco Bell. It's like one of the worst things for you is anything frozen. Anything frozen.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't matter if it's like a lean cuisine.
Yeah.
Like if you are not going to buy something frozen and microwave it and it's going to be good for you.
Right.
Let me just go ahead. That's the rule.
Right.
And nobody
That's
has
sort of baseline.
Yeah, it's baseline. That being said, I did have some bagel bites today and they were delicious.
I'm sure, like, if you do like a smoothie, you got to put like some frozen fruit in there or something. That's probably all right for you. But I would say like any like a Hungry Man meal is probably number one. It's packed with sodium.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
You might as well just have like a salt lick,
like a deer lick, just sitting on the couch. Did you ever see Round Meal?
No.
It was this image floating around. It from what I understand, it was a fake thing that somebody made and then stuck in like the freezer section at a store. It was called Round Meal, and it was just this ball, like a giant ball, like basketball-sized thing of macaroni and ground beef. and like on the package, it said like feeds 5 men, and the instructions was boil in bag, open and enjoy. But I mean, that's not terribly far off from some of the shit that I've seen. You know,
that sounds like very like USSR.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Like, get the Round Meal at Korvinsky's grocery store. But yeah,
feeds up to 5 comrades.
Up to 5 comrades. 10 if you're feeling generous.
Speaking of Russia.
What's new with Russia? Are they still committing atrocities over there?
Yeah, well, I saw earlier today where it's like the defense minister for Germany essentially said we are at war with Russia. So
oh, great.
Essentially means that NATO is at war with Russia now.
Oh, great.
So they haven't officially declared it, but she fucking said it.
Basically what it
she
is.
She said the quiet part out loud.
Oh,
all
great.
right.
Was it Angela Merkel that said this? Or
no, I don't know who their defense person is, but
Angela Merkel's like their president or president analog, whatever that is, leader.
Was it like prime minister? Is that what
that sounds right, yeah.
Whoever their like defense minister is or whatever.
Yeah.
Like she was like, Germany is at war with Russia. So Russia's like, oh, okay.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And Russia, like essentially what Russia, from what I've heard or what I saw, was that they have like depleted uranium rounds that they use in the tanks that Germany is sending over.
Yeah.
And then Russia said that if they fire any of those rounds, then Russia's essentially going to say, "Oh, you're using nuclear weapons." Well, that gives us the right to use nuclear weapons.
Fuck.
So I was like, "Great,
fuck,
yeah, that's awesome." Let's not try to tone it down a little bit.
Let's shoot uranium at one another.
Like let's increase the level of severity here.
Yeah, who can out crazy the other one? It's just not something anybody's going to win.
No,
it's not.
Are we just run by idiots now? Is that what's going on?
Yes. Yeah, we're run by greedy idiots.
Yeah.
It was like we had said before, Russia's whole thing about this is, Ukraine had, missile systems all along their border pointed at them.
Right.
And they didn't like that. And also they believe that Ukraine should be part of Russia because of the USSR or whatever.
Well, there's also some like religious stuff there with like the Orthodox Church coming out of Russia and everything. I mean, there's a lot of different.
There's a lot.
There's a lot going on here. A lot that Western culture doesn't understand about this like Eastern Bloc country.
Yeah, all that runs deep.
Right,
and it's all very, very old.
Right. They've been fighting this war over there since before the U.S. was even a country. Mm-hmm. I mean, this has been going on since the czars.
Yeah. It was just natives over here,
right? While
they were doing that,
right?
And then now we're here, we're building skyscrapers and electric cars, and they're still doing that,
right?
They just have better sticks and stones to throw at one another,
right?
I think so this has been going on for what, 2 years now? Not 2 years,
a little over a year.
A little over a year.
A little over a year.
I remember, when all this kind of kicked off. And we had talked about it on the podcast, and we had mentioned how strange it was to see, kind of a boots on the ground
hot war
invasion,
right? In
our time, but the U.S. was over in the Middle East for 20 years,
right?
So 2/3 of my waking life that my country has been at war, so who's to say that doesn't go on for 20 years.
Right. Well, at the rate that they're going, it might not be going on much longer.
Yeah.
In fact, we might not be here much longer.
Yeah.
So your little heart thing you have might not be an issue.
Might not even fucking matter. I might as well go to the store and grab me a couple round meals and just call it a day.
What if you went and that's what the doctor told you? Like, well, they're getting ready to start dropping nukes, so does it really matter?
Yeah, just fucking eat Chick-fil-A every day, man. Every day, 6 Sunday. One of the most concerning things about it is just the slow bleed that we're all going to experience before it, before it really, peaks, right? So you talk about things like embargoes and, blocking trade routes. So much of our oil comes from them. All this other stuff, China is real big with them. And China, we get most of our steel from China.
Right.
So China's like, fuck you, no more steel.
Well, I mean, not only that, but, it's like Russia, China, North Korea, and Iran is trying to start like their own NATO. It's like Brexit or whatever it is.
Axis.
Axis powers. Axis powers. Is that what they're calling it? Well, I mean, it's kind of amazing that we have enough history to look back on, especially with World War I and World War II, where it's like there's like you said, there's a slow burn until it finally just kicks off, right?
Yeah.
Where, I mean, but people, I guess it's just during the time that we live in, or you haven't lived through that experience, so you wouldn't know what it is that you're looking at when you're looking at it. But history tends to repeat itself.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we would be intelligent to try to tone this down and be like, can we come to some sort of resolution where everybody kind of wins here? Like, everybody's going to lose, of course. No, there are no winners. But how can we kind of keep any more people from dying?
Yeah.
Right? Isn't that sort of kind of what we should do?
Well, I mean, it's not about what we should do. The people in charge are not...
It's about what makes the money.
Yeah. They're not concerned about what we should do.
Right.
Ukraine is an incredible investment opportunity right now. Are you kidding me? Everybody's dumping so much money into Ukraine. Yeah. You gotta pump those numbers up. Those are rookie numbers. I mean, over here when you're...
Got like some depleted uranium. Sell me this nuke.
Yeah. Over here, it's just numbers on a screen, right?
Right.
And it's bar graphs and line graphs. But, people over there living in that shit.
Right.
Their apartment complexes are being bombed.
Right.
People in Kyiv thought, they're never going to reach the capital.
Right.
Ever.
Here they are.
And here they are.
Right.
And they pushed them back, but they're back again.
Right.
So there's going to be a lot of that. Push back. Oh, we're gaining some land. Oh, they're coming back.
Driving tanks through Chernobyl and...
Oh, my God. That was... If anything, just stay out of Chernobyl, please.
Yeah, stay away from that area.
Did you see where the Ukrainians were... They were fixing little bombs, little butt plug bombs to drones.
No.
Little quadcopters. Yeah. And they're flying them over Russians who are just kind of sitting behind a brick wall and they just drop them.
Really?
What a fucking crazy time.
Yeah.
Just
get go down to fucking Sergei's fuck around store.
Fuck around store.
Get you a drone.
Get you a find out round.
Just drop a pipe bomb.
Well, I mean, that's how when people were kind of gearing up to preparing to be invaded.
Right.
That's an insane thing to think about.
Right.
That they're coming. They were making Molotov cocktails and stuff and handing them out to citizens and get ready, guys. They're going to be here.
Right. Well, also with that, you find out really quick sort of kind of what matters. All the bullshit kind of just kind of goes away. It dissipates. It goes away.
Yeah.
All the shit that you thought was important is no longer important.
Yeah.
That kind of stress. Not only are you probably going to die, but you're going to die horrifically.
Yeah. In an explosion.
Within the blink of an eye, you were running around on a playground as a child, going down a slide and going across the monkey bars.
Yeah.
Well, guess what? You're getting ready to die.
Yeah. Now there's a crater.
Right.
It's just I think that a big thing with people over here in America is we've never seen a war over here on our land. You know, the most recent one was in 1865, and that was against ourselves.
Right. We're the last person to land troops over here was the British. That was the Revolutionary War.
Yeah.
Or wait, was that the Spanish-American War?
I don't know if the Spanish-American War, any of that happened up here, technically, because I think at the time we still didn't have, Texas and some of that other stuff further west. You know, unless you count, of course, Pearl Harbor.
Yeah.
But that was the closest anybody ever made it, and that was Hawaii.
Right, exactly. And Hawaii is still a long way away from the upper 48.
Yeah, Hawaii is a 6-hour flight from California.
Right.
It's way
it's
out there.
It's a long fucking way away.
Like, if you ever gone to, like, Google Earth and, like, kind of spun around the globe.
It's a long way away.
Yeah, it's really fucking, it's out there. Speaking of Hawaii, a couple weeks back, there was an incident on Hawaiian Airlines.
Oh, do tell.
They were getting ready to land. I mean, that's like 15 minutes out from landing. And they experienced what they're calling extreme turbulence. So I guess like everybody in the cockpit had like a surge soda.
Extreme.
Everybody had gusher heads. 40 people got injured.
Holy shit.
Yeah. Like several of them had to be taken to the emergency room after they landed.
Whoa.
And I don't think there's any video of it from the inside of the cockpit, but like you could see like where people flew up out of their seats and smashed into the overhead compartments and busted through it.
And that's why it is important to buckle your seatbelt.
Wear your seatbelt, people. I never take my seatbelt off when I'm on a plane. Like, I'm going to die in this fucking chair right here.
My body will still be in this chair.
Yeah. Like, oh, he's in B3. There he is.
Like way over there. like the only chair.
Like smushed halfway into a tree. But yeah, that's so... Everybody, you know, if you guys have been listening for a while now, you know that I hate flying. You know how I feel about flying. Like, second to that is...
You're just kind of tempting fate the entire time you're up there.
You are. You're fucking beating the odds, man. But, God, they were about to land. Like, when I'm thinking, like, when I'm on an airplane and they're like, okay, guys, we're beginning our final descent into wherever we're going, I kind of relax a little bit, let my guard down a little bit. I'm okay. We're about to land.
Right.
You know? But knowing that, you know, that can fucking happen right before you land. And then there was that one that happened over in Nepal. Did you see that one?
On Indian Airlines?
Yeah.
Yeah,
you see
actually did a video. Yeah, I saw it.
That video is fucking terrifying.
Right.
It is the scariest fucking thing.
And I think they were landing too.
Yeah, they were landing. But
they say
I think that plane crashed.
Yes, that plane crashed.
They landed a lot faster than they thought they were going to.
Well, they say that the most dangerous part of flying is not the part where you're in the air. That's actually the safest part of flying.
Is it the takeoff and
landing?
It's the
takeoff and the landing are the most dangerous parts.
Would that be because that's where the human element is?
Yeah, but I mean, once you're up there, like it's autopilot.
All automated.
Like, it's all automated. You don't really have to fuck with any of that.
Yeah.
Like, but once they have to stick their hands on whatever this...
Some coked out pilot who's been napping for the last 5 hours. He has to wake up out of his stupor and land this thing. You have to wonder, like, especially after that movie Flight with Denzel Washington, like, how many flights have you been on where the pilot was, like, just...
Drool.
Oh, man.
I was listening to the Joe Rogan podcast, and he had on Louis C.K.
Yeah.
And Louis C.K. was talking about, like, right after, like, 9/11 happened. He was saying that he was on a flight, like a red-eye flight. And he was, like you said, like at that point, like nobody was flying. Like nobody was touching airplanes.
Right, yeah.
And so he said, like, he got upgraded. He was like him and like a couple other people that were on this plane. And there was like, he was like 1A and the other guy was like 1B. So they were like across the aisle from each other. Yeah. So they're like the first two. And he said the pilot came out and he said, all right, guys. He like squatted down next to him. He said, I'd really appreciate it if you don't sleep on this flight. And he's like, because you two are the last line of defense.
Oh, Jesus. Some doof at Louis C.K. having to guard the cockpit.
Right. And Louis was like, we're fucked.
Like, can you give me a gun? Like, what do you want me to do here? When we worked at the Mexican restaurant, there was a guy that used to come in all the time who was an air marshal. Mm-hmm. and he's a very braggadocious individual. He's like one of those guys.
Like one of the guys that wears his badge like on the outside of his.
No, but like he could tell you all about what it's like to be a Marine, even though he was never in the Marines. That kind of guy. But he would tell like the way that they're trained to shoot is different.
Really?
They're trained to shoot like down these narrow corridors.
Right.
Because if you think about it, that's the environment they're going to be in if they have to pull their gun. And you're,
that's like
flanked on either side by civilians all the way down.
And really shooting a gun inside a pressurized tube is like the last thing you want to do.
Yeah. Like, so best case scenario, the guy's standing down at the other end of the plane and you shoot him from the other end of the plane.
Right, and he's doing like you.
He's got like the light sticks. Like the other guy's like guiding him like right here in the heart. Because you want the bullet, like even like a 9mm bullet that can travel through somebody,
right?
And then
pretty easily
come out of them because we're just fucking made out of jelly,
right?
And come out of them and then still have enough force to penetrate that aluminum, fuselage or whatever. But he was like, he's like, the majority of the job is just being aware and kind of looking out and trying to be preventative. Because
there's going to be a problem on this flight.
Yeah, he's like, because he said, once I have to pull my gun out on the plane, he's like, we're basically all fucked anyway.
Right.
He's like, the best I can do is shoot the guy and then we all die.
Right.
He's like, at least let it be my fault, not the terrorist.
And I would imagine, like, if the guy's like, if you were going to like fuck with a plane, you would probably want to do it while you're next to the bulkhead.
Yeah.
Because like the guy's not going to want to like shoot through you, like, and then puncture the window and then everybody gets sucked out the side of the plane.
Yeah.
Like, literally the only people who are okay are the pilot, like, behind this fucking thing and up front, I
remember seeing this thing a while back that was, it was like a concept for a plane, right? Where, if something went wrong, the fuselage or the area where all the passengers are could detach away from like the rest of the plane, and like could deploy parachutes. And,
okay.
Slip, drift down
at 30,000 feet.
It's a long way down. It's a long fucking way down, man. Just suffocating
just slowly.
They're like, well, the parachute.
It's like all these asphyxiated people.
Wow, everybody who got on this plane was gray.
This is like -60 up there and you can't breathe.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
I'd rather just crash in the fucking plane and be done with it.
Yeah, but that video of the Nepal one.
Yeah, that one's pretty horrific.
That one is crazy because it's not particularly gory or anything, but it's a guy kind of filming, himself, and then he kind of looks out the window a little bit, and then something happens. You don't see what, and he drops his phone, and there's like all this mess happening, and then all of a sudden,
fire.
It's just fire, like roaring, raging jet fuel fire blowing over the camera, and like you can hear like the scream of like the engines, and it's like. Somebody lived through that. Like somebody lived in that for a couple seconds and then died.
Right.
So like the last couple seconds of their wonderful, beautiful life was just and fire.
Right.
You
tempt
awful.
fate long enough.
Yeah. Yeah. How many times you want to roll them dice?
I rolled them quite a lot.
Yeah, I know you have. Yeah. Shit, I've got a flight coming up. And
waved my dick in fate's face.
A little mushroom tattoo on the forehead a couple times.
What are you gonna do?
What are you gonna do, bitch? How you gonna crash my plane? I've got a flight coming up in April. We're going to New Orleans, and I'm just not looking forward to it.
Yeah,
the flight, that is. I love New Orleans.
Right.
I love all that food and I love that town, but getting there is just not the fun part. I hate that. I would much rather make that drive.
Right.
And everybody says like, oh, you have a greater chance of dying in a car crash than you do of dying in a plane crash. Like, well, that may be true, but I have a better chance of walking away from a car crash than I do a plane crash.
Right, which is 0.
Yeah, I'm not going to crash a plane and get out and be like, dang, that was crazy. Like, wow.
It's like standing next to
standing there, wait, that's something. Look at this mess. That'll buff right out.
Oopsie. like some girl with extensions in her hair rolls up over a curb in her fucking Nissan Altima.
I want to ask you something. I want to ask you if you've noticed this. So you've probably seen several videos online of like people doing stupid shit in cars, like crashing into poles or,
oh boy, have I.
Or whatever the thing may be. Whenever it's a woman and anything goes awry, it's the moment something goes wrong, they gas it.
Oh yeah.
Have you noticed that?
No.
Women always gas it the moment that something goes wrong. I don't understand why that is.
Right.
Like, I saw one where this girl had just bought a car, and they had it parked over, like, by this,
it's a whiskey throttle.
it's like, so the where the car was parked was, like, up on, like, pavement parking lot, but it was up by a fence, and it was up on a retaining wall. So in front of the car is, like, a iron rod fence, and then, like, a 20-foot drop on the other side. So she went to go in reverse and back the car out, but she had it in drive. And so at first she just kind of hit the gas a little bit.
Jerked forward.
It freaked her out that the car went forward, so she gassed it.
Oh.
And just launched right off that fucking retaining wall.
Like the Dukes of Hazzard. Oh boy, what of them Dukes boys got to do this time? I think Boss Hog is chasing her.
Well, she came to get herself a new car. Looks like she's going to have to get a new pair of panties. We'll be right back. Real quick, I want to talk about something pretty cringy that I did recently.
Oh boy, here we go.
I feel bad about this. I feel so bad about this. I went to Chick-fil-A the other day.
Mm-hmm.
And, I got this hat, my flat bill, my Italy hat. I've got a lot of mileage out of this hat.
No.
Basically haven't taken it off except to sleep or shower.
No.
And I was in the drive-thru, and this girl took my order, whatever. And I don't know, I was just kind of spaced out that morning.
No.
And she said, "I like your hat. My dad got one like that for Christmas." I didn't say anything to her. I just held my card out and waited for her to... I just held my card out, waited for her to run it. And I remember thinking, like, it's taking her a minute to grab my card. And so I, like, pushed it forward closer. And so she kind of just, like, took it and ran it and handed it back to me. And I was like, "Thank you," and I drove away. But the thing is, I didn't realize what she had said to me until I drove away and, like, got my food. Yeah. I was like, oh my God, that girl was trying to make small talk and be nice, and she gave me a compliment, and I totally fucking ignored her and made this awkward. It had to be so awkward for her. It had to be so unbearably awkward for her.
It's funny that you said that, because I specifically remember one time I was going through a Chick-fil-A drive-thru because I was going to Birmingham to catch a flight, and I pull up, and the person, like, hands me, this is before they started doing, like, the 2 lines with, like, taking your order outside and all that shit. So you had, like, pull up to the window to pay, like, before the thing. Now they take your order outside and then you drive around. So, like, I pull up and I go to give the lady my card, and she goes, "Oh, the person in front of you paid for your food.
Yeah.
They just asked that you pay it forward." And I went, "Okay." And then she's like, "All right." She just handed me my food, and I drove away. She was probably like, "What a fucking cunt."
What a fucking dick. What an asshole.
But it didn't. I was like, in my mind, I was like, "Oh, well, I'll do something nice for somebody later today."
Yeah, yeah.
Now, like, hey, they asked that you keep it going.
Yeah,
like,
pay for the person behind you.
I was like, okay.
Yeah, I'll do that later. Oh my god.
Like, fucking nerd.
Yeah, I just felt so bad about that, and I feel like what I need to do is try and go back.
Don't.
I feel like I gotta.
Don't do it.
I feel like I gotta go back and just tell her, like, hey, look, the other day you gave me a compliment. I didn't react to it because I wasn't paying attention to you.
Don't do that.
But I just don't want her
Leave
to...
it be. Leave it be.
I don't want it to be one of those situations,
let
though,
it
where
lie.
she's...
Don't go back there.
to ever go back to that Chick-fil-A.
Don't go back there. Don't do that.
It was so bad. One time, I told the story to Marion. She reminded me of another thing that I did at the mall once. This was several years ago. I was at Arbor Place. I don't remember why I was there. I think I was going to get like her rings inspected or something. I can't think of any other reason I would have been at the mall.
There's really no good reason to go to that mall.
Yeah. But I had come in from the movie theater parking lot, and I needed to go down the escalators that were right there. Mm-hmm. And there was like these 3 girls standing there, like little, teeny bopper girls, little fucking mall rats, and they were just kind of standing in front of the escalator.
No.
And I went to go get on the escalator, and I was like, excuse me, very politely. And one of them looked at me, and she goes, ew, like that? And I immediately, my brain was like an immediate knee-jerk reaction. I stuck my ass out and farted on him. I don't know.
It's like...
I don't know why I did that. But it was like giving someone a high five. Like I just did it. I just went. It went down the escalator. I can hear behind me going, "Oh my god!"
Oh god!
Did I tell you what I did at the McDonald's at one time when I went to go order a Sprite? I just wanted a Sprite.
No.
I was on my way home and I was like, I just want a Sprite. Like that sounds so good. I went to McDonald's to get a Sprite and I drove up to the window and I didn't realize that the lady was standing there and I just ripped the biggest fucking fart. It was so loud and so long. And the worst part was halfway through it, I went, oh. I was just sitting there looking at my phone, and the lady goes, "Here's your Sprite."
I would just drove away. I'd be like, I don't want it. I don't want it. Oh god. Oh fuck! The other day, it's like a week ago, whatever. I was in the store for something. I remember just being like, "Oh man, I got to fart real bad," and like I kind of looked up and down the aisle, and I'm like, "All right, well nobody's in this aisle, so I just let one go."
Yeah.
And then about that time, some lady like rounds the corner. Here she comes.
Oh no!
And it's just me on this aisle.
Who else could it have been? Was it a real bad one?
It was bad.
Oh no!
Like as soon as I let it go, I was like, "Oh."
It was like, "Oh, if it's bad to you, and you're the one who did it." Yeah.
So I just kind of hurried down the aisle. I had to come back to the aisle later to get something I actually needed.
Oh man. I like to think that I'm a very nice, polite man.
Yeah.
But sometimes somebody catches me like the real me, and I'm just like, please don't tell anybody I'm like this.
Oh. Speaking of catching people, I think we both saw the Paul Pelosi hammer attack video. It's hammer time.
Hammer time. Yeah, so if you guys don't know, the body cam footage for the Paul Pelosi attack is released.
Available for consumption.
Yeah, you can go out and look at it. it's one of the oddest things I've ever seen. So the police are standing there. They're standing outside the front door. They're discussing amongst themselves, I guess, the call.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, the front door opens, and Paul Pelosi and the attacker are standing there, and they both got their hands on the hammer that the guy has.
Right.
But Paul Pelosi also has like a drink in his left hand.
Right.
And he's standing there in his underwear and a button-up.
Yeah.
And it's such a strange interaction.
Yeah, the police don't really know.
The police don't really react to it. The police go, hey. The police go, hey, how's it going? And Paul Pelosi and the guy are like, it's going pretty good. They're like, put the hammer down. And like there's a short little struggle that ensues, and then the guy cracks Paul Pelosi in the head with that ball-peen hammer. It was such an odd, very odd.
Yeah, from like they tased the guy and his butt cracks hanging out, and so like they tased this. I'm assuming they tased this person. That's what it sounded like. Either that or there's like a scuffle.
Yeah.
So and then like Paul Pelosi is just like fucking laid out on the floor. Like you can see from the body cam footage, like you just see like his legs and his like feet splayed out, and there's like his drink is like all over the floor.
Yeah, he's in like the Family Guy knockout. Like position with like the arm behind him, you know?
Right.
Yeah, it was
like,
real.
What was going on there?
Very, very weird. I mean, like they also showed the security camera footage of the guy breaking into the house.
Really?
Like he's at the back door and he's like bashing the glass out of the back door, I guess, so he can get the handle or whatever. And then I think I heard a little bit of the phone call that he made to 911, and it was weird. I feel like he said at one point like. You don't need to send police. He just said he's going to wait for my wife to get here. I don't know the whole thing.
Well, it's very odd.
It's very from begin to end. It's all very weird.
Yeah,
it's very, very, very
strange.
Weird. They were interviewing Nancy, and she was like, I heard that the video has released, and I do not want to watch the video of the deadly attack on my husband. I was like, he lived.
Yeah. Apparently, you don't understand what deadly means.
It was a brutal attack, yes. Yeah. He got hit in the head with a hammer. But he wasn't deadly. Could have been. It wasn't.
He's dead to me.
It's like, babe, why are you so mad at me? She's like, I just feel like you should be able to protect me if somebody hits you in the head with a hammer. And you fell asleep, and I don't know.
I'm 85 years old. I can't protect anything.
I can't protect my pants from a stain. Yeah, it was very weird. Also, on the topic of body cam footage, did you see the Tyree Nichols one?
I saw like a screenshot from it, and then like one of the people I follow, Spike Cohen, like kind of gave like a rundown of like I read his rundown of what happened or whatever. And like some of like the libertarian pages that I follow or whatever, like
probably had a lot to say about
it, right? Yeah. So, and I know that like there was an individual had posted like they had seen these particular people like a year before, and they thought it was a very strange incident to like run into. Like they weren't like really wearing anything that indicated they were police. They were like open carrying like in Memphis, which I don't think is legal there for open carrying. I might be wrong about that. But and then like they got in unmarked vehicles and then left. And then essentially from what I understand, have you seen the video footage of it? Yeah. So from what I read, I haven't watched it yet. It seems like they didn't really indicate that they were police. They just kind of fucking grabbed him. And then
from what the video that I saw, from what I understand what happened is they tried to pull him over for reckless driving. And then they pursued him for a little bit. And then he stopped, and then another pursuit happened. And then they got him stopped again. And then when the body cam footage starts, they're jerking him out of that vehicle.
Right.
Straight away, they're beating him. Straight away. They were like, there was no like.
Yeah, from what I read, like some dude like punted his fucking head.
Yeah, he was laying on the ground, and one cop who pulls up on the scene later gets out of his car, immediately goes over to the altercation, and starts kicking him in the head while he's laying on the ground.
No.
You know, the thing is, I'm not a police officer. I have no police training.
But I do know that's not how you restrain somebody.
You're going to have a hard time selling me that that's how you're supposed to do that.
He's still a threat.
Yeah, when he's on the ground.
Cuffed.
Well, he wasn't cuffed at that time. Yeah. They were gosh, I really don't want to put my foot in my mouth or anything, but like it didn't look like they were making a real earnest attempt to get his hands behind his back.
Right.
They were just kind of holding his arms, saying, "Give me your hand, give me your hand."
So they could continue to beat the shit out of him.
Yeah. I mean, that's what it looks like.
No.
There's even like the way they're talking about the guy.
Yeah.
There's one police officer. You can hear him on his body cam saying, after the other two police officers chase the guy on foot, saying, "I hope they beat his ass. I hope they stomp his ass." One of them pulls over, and he was like, "Move out of the way. I'm gonna baton him right in the face or whatever." Yeah. And he did. He got his baton out and hit him in the face. Yeah. At one point, after they had him on the ground, a little bit later, he's up on his feet, and two cops are holding both of his arms, and another one's punching him in the face.
Oh, nice.
And then they get him back on the ground, and then they pepper spray him in the face, and then they start beating him again. It's like there are 5 of you,
right?
And there's one of him,
right?
If the goal was to actually arrest this man,
right,
I believe that you could have done it,
right,
without beating him to death,
right?
Because they beat him to death,
right?
You know, and it's like I said, I'm not a police officer. I don't have any police training. I don't know. I'm not trained in de-escalation. But I don't think that punching him in the face and kicking him in the face and hitting him in the face with a baton and pepper spraying him and holding his arms and punching him in the face and kicking him in the head has anything to do with de-escalation.
Yeah. Well, I can tell you for a fact that going through like security training that I had to go through the military and like visit board search and seizure, that's a big fucking no-no.
What, beating somebody to death?
Yeah.
Well, I would imagine so.
That's a big fucking no-no.
Yeah. Well, especially if you're overseas, that creates an incident.
Right.
That's an international incident.
Right. Right. You do not do that.
That gets everybody's attention.
You use the minimum amount of force necessary in order to do your job.
Unless you're like our dad, then you go pick a bar fight with a bunch of Frenchmen and get kicked out of the country.
That's a different time.
Like, I'm going to kick your ass. And so, you know, there's protests that are going on. And, you know, the issue with, like, the 2020 protests, the biggest issue I had with all that was all the innocent people who were being attacked had nothing to do with the situation. There's a lot of people who are saying that this is another evidence of, like, you know, white supremacy and this, that, and the other, even
Weren't
though...
they all black?
Yes. Even though it was 5 black cops, like, oh, because the police are a white institution and whatever. Everybody's gonna take this thing that happened.
Well, they're gonna use it to advance their own cause.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
They don't really give a fuck about this person that died.
No. They're just gonna stand on their body before it's even cold and use it as a soapbox.
Right.
That's what they always do. But fucking black people are upset. Why wouldn't they be?
Yeah.
Who are they supposed to call? I mean, think about it the way a black person's probably looking at this.
Right.
It is true that they get stopped by police more often than not. So they have more interactions with police than you or I do. How many interactions with the police have you had in your life? I can count on one hand.
Like maybe 4.
And all the times I got pulled over or whatever, I was doing something wrong.
Right.
Like, blatantly wrong.
Right.
I mean, I wasn't, like, pissing out the window. Yeah. Like, I was either speeding or wasn't wearing my seatbelt or whatever. So, you know, of course, as far as they know, the best course of action is just to avoid police entirely. Don't even get involved with them. Just fucking try to avoid them as best as you can. Right. But, I don't know. There's a lot of ways to look at it. There's a lot of truths and there's a lot of lies involved here, but I think it is one thing that's clear is that they beat that man to death, and people are upset about it, and they had a right to be.
I think the main thing that you can do in order to try to get rid of some of this corruption that you have inside the police departments is that they need to get rid of qualified immunity. And for people that don't understand what qualified immunity means, is that these people cannot be criminally charged for the wrongdoings that they do, while they do it under the guise of law enforcement. So these police officers that attacked and killed this guy, they're going to use qualified immunity in order to make sure that they cannot be criminally charged.
Yeah.
Which sounds to me like horse shit.
Yeah.
Like, if you do something blatantly fucking wrong, regardless of whether or not you do it behind a badge, you should be criminally charged for the fucking wrongdoings that you do.
Yeah.
I honestly don't understand why this is even a conversation.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's because, a police officer, who's doing that job? A person.
Right.
And it's a person who's going to make mistakes.
Right.
Also, you kind of have to look at like the aspects, of being a police officer, the aspects of that job, the kind of things you're going to have to deal with. Doesn't attract everybody. It doesn't attract, the most like, chill, level-headed individuals.
Right.
It's very attractive to people who, seek a challenge or who are like adrenaline junkies. And in that group of people, there's going to be some people who are doing it for the wrong reasons.
Right.
They're gonna get in there somewhere.
Right.
I don't know what the answer is to it. Like,
no, I mean, it's to say that, like, I think ending qualified immunity would be a really good place to start, but that's not going to cause it to. It's not going to flip it on its head and make it something that it isn't, because you're talking about a multifaceted issue.
Yeah. Yeah, well, yeah, it's not cut and dry.
Right.
Nothing is. Every kind of, every issue, no matter what it is not black and white. There's a lot of angles, a lot to look at.
Speaking of footage, have you seen the footage from Project Veritas?
No, I haven't.
So
the last thing I saw out of them was like the presidential election thing, I think.
Which one was that?
It had to have been when Trump got elected. They did one then. They were trying to uncover whether or not they were falsifying like voting.
Oh yeah.
This, that, and the other.
Okay, so this one, I've seen the video. It's pretty wild.
Yeah. Is it on YouTube?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they like set up this guy that is like I want to say he's an executive at Pfizer.
Oh boy.
And he goes on a date with another guy, right? So this person is a
it's
mole.
Like a gay mole?
He's like a gay mole, right? And so like he's sitting there, he's like filming the dude, and the dude's like and the dude says, oh, and like in so many words, I don't know the exact words that he said. You'd have to go look at it yourself. But essentially he said, oh yeah, the COVID virus. He's like, yeah, we've mutated the strain so that we could sell vaccines.
Christ alive.
Right. And then so who's not Peter Thiel, who's the guy that runs Project Veritas?
Oh, I don't know.
Anyway, the guy like later on, it's like the next day or something, like comes in and he has an iPad to show him like, here's what you said.
Yeah.
He's like, you want to explain yourself?
Yeah.
And so like he walks up to the guy and immediately the guy knows exactly who he is.
Yeah.
And he goes, I was just trying to impress somebody. I'm a liar. He's like, I lie all the time. And then so
that's a wonderful defense.
Yeah. And then so like they're like in a pizzeria, and the guy looks and he goes, lock the door, don't let them out. And then he grabs the iPad and like slams it on the ground and tries to break it, and then starts attacking everybody.
Jesus.
And then he like runs out the door.
Like a fucking sleeper agent.
Yeah, and then he like runs out the door. The guy that they're like
the guy they're trying to bust.
The guy they're trying to bust, and he like runs out the door. And he thinks that they've gotten in this car and they're like driving away, and the dude like jumps in front of the car and like won't let this car go. And they're filming this guy doing this.
Yeah.
And then the cops pull up and the cops are like, do you want to press charges against this guy that attacked you? And they're like, no.
Yeah. Like he did enough.
Yeah.
He did enough.
Right.
Yeah.
Like you could see he's like having a fucking panic attack.
Yeah, like, oh my God, this is the worst possible thing that could have happened.
This is like corporate malfeasance that I have exposed. Because I was trying to get laid.
His heart had to have dropped into his gut.
Oh, yeah.
You get caught doing something bad.
Right.
Like just that times a billion.
Right. It's like, number one, what a wild thing to say to somebody.
Yeah.
On a first date.
Yeah.
Like, hey.
Hey, you know what's really going to make you want to fuck me in my ass?
Right.
If I tell you that we basically deployed a bioweapon against people in order to make money. Doesn't that make you horny? You want to gobble my nuts up now?
And like, I mean, regardless, like, you gotta look into it now. I mean, you can't not.
Yeah, you can't not.
You can't not.
Yeah.
Like, if you had an executive who, like, they pulled his CV, they have his CV, like, yeah, he works there,
yeah,
and he worked in this area of research. So, like, he's who he is, who he says that he is.
Yeah.
So, like, why would he lie about it? I guess he could lie about it because he wanted to get laid, but what an odd thing to lie about.
What a crazy thing to lie about.
Right. Like, why would that be the thing? Like, you would be like, hey.
Most people just lie about their dick size.
Right.
You're not going to lie about some shit like that.
And, like, what a wild thing to say on a first date.
Even if it is true, why would you say that?
Like, most of the time, like, it's been such a long time since I've been on a first date. I don't even know what you would talk about on a first date.
I wouldn't even know what.
Right.
Who are you? Who are you?
Yeah.
You're a stranger.
But I'm pretty certain I wouldn't, like, go into the intricate details of, like, my job.
Yeah, all the terrible things you've done to the American populace.
And then expose the fact that, like, I'm essentially a war criminal.
Oh, God. Okay, so you know what the worst part about this is? Is all the people who were like COVID conspiracy theorists, it emboldens them.
Just add another log to the fire, baby.
That guy who thinks they put HIV in the vaccine, he's going to feel very vindicated by this. And you know what? He might be fucking right at this point.
What if they did? What if they did put HIV in the vaccine? He's like, I fucking told you. You're like... Yep, you're right.
I'm like, you're right. You know what? But can you blame me for thinking that was too outrageous? Honestly, can you? Oh, my God, man. We opened up the last episode saying we want some good news, and look at all this shit that happened in a week.
Oh, God. And of course, there's like a bunch of like YouTube drama going on, so that's fun. I guess. Was it? There's I guess she's like an ex-adult, like adult star or whatever.
Porn star?
Yeah, like what was it? Like people had posted like a picture of her in like a music video, like that she had done or whatever. And apparently, like she went to Twitter and was like, these are private photos, you know, they can't post them. And like, so a bunch of people got their accounts banned. Yeah. And then they were like, no, I pulled this from a music video that she was in. And then so she got all those music videos banned.
Oh, God.
And then so like it's just turned into this big thing. But I guess like
who owns what?
Yeah. But I guess like the big deal is like, I guess she like stated that she was fighting against like human trafficking or something. Yeah. And then come to find out like the human trafficking that she was talking about was somebody stole her pictures and was using her pictures to catfish other guys. And she's like, I was trafficked.
Oh, is that what you think that means?
Yeah. At least that's what I've heard.
Yeah, imagine if that show on MTV Catfish was actually called human trafficking.
Like, I don't think you understand the definition.
Yeah. You keep using that word, though I don't think you know what it means.
It's been a wild week.
Yeah. What even?
Yeah. What does any of this matter?
What does any of this matter?
Right. Then you got the AI thing that Microsoft like.
Oh God, what's going on with that?
Invested like billions of dollars into. Oh, the Chat
GPT thing.
Yeah, Chat GPT.
Did you see Jordan Peterson talking about that?
I have not.
He was talking about there was a guy at Twitter who told Chat GPT, this is an artificial intelligence, told Chat GPT, told them, I have like an employee review coming up. I haven't done any work in the past 10 days. He was like, you know, write me. So basically what I'm saying is you give this thing a prompt and it does it. Mm-hmm. It was like, write me a 10 bullet point, thing about what I did to be productive over the past however long. And it did it.
I was supposed to say, it'd be funny if it narked on him.
And it did it. It was like, it wrote a 10 bullet point thing. Here's what I did. Here's the things I did. Yeah. And then it said, okay, now write the code to back that up. And it did it. It wrote code
Really?
He just told it write code. First of all, it said make up 10 good things and then write code for it. And it's like, okay, there you go. There it is. So it's very, very advanced. AI is advancing exponentially.
Yeah, because the AI will just make better AI.
Yeah. We are playing with fucking fire, man.
Yeah.
I don't even know what to expect. A couple episodes ago, we said that, we would see it in our lifetime that they are going to use this stuff like
next year.
Yeah, in like in a bad way. Like you're going to use it like to create evidence against people and this, that, and the other. And I said, we'll see it in our lifetime. I think we're going to see it in the next, like you said, year.
No.
Yeah. With deep fake technology.
Yeah, it's going to be like a cyberpunk deal.
It's going to be the most dystopic fucking thing.
Right.
You're not going to fucking believe the world you're living in. Because you're not going to know what's real.
Right.
Like there's this thing now where people are making OnlyFans accounts using AI-generated women. Yeah.
Really?
I saw a post today where somebody posted this picture of like this tall, blonde-headed woman with large breasts and everything, like sexy lingerie, and it was like this OnlyFans account has like 10,000 subscribers and it's not a real person.
Whoa.
It's AI-generated.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That's wild.
So you're not even going to be able to tell what's real and what isn't. So those AI-generated images, like if you've ever looked at a couple of them, like the ones that are supposed to be like, like a real person or whatever, usually there's some kind of giveaway. Right. Like the eye looks kind of weird. There's like 6 fingers on one hand. The AI kind of has this general idea of like what a human looks like. But now it's getting very like refined. Like it even did like field of depth, like the stuff behind her was out of focus.
Yeah.
Like the light coming through the window like had her silhouette like a little bit like, and it was like dispersed through her hair.
Huh.
Like the AI stuff is unfucking real.
That's horrific.
It's terrifying. It is terrifying.
Horrific.
And then,
so what are all these OnlyFans girls going to do now that out
of a job?
Yeah.
Who would have thought that robots would take away the porn jobs?
Yeah. Like, nobody wants to see pictures of my butthole anymore.
Yeah, just perfectly AI-generated butthole. Did you see the video I sent you of what was it? Oh, fuck, what was it? It was Dragon Ball Z as an 80s sitcom.
I haven't seen it yet.
So
I saw it. I just haven't looked at it yet.
So there's a lot of stuff like that where it'd be like, what would Smash Bros look like as an 80s dark sci-fi movie? Mm-hmm. And those are fun. It's like, oh, I like those designs. It really looks like it's silly little things, like that. But it's gonna rule the world one day and gonna make human batteries out of all of us.
Ugh.
We're gonna suck pink sludge out of a tube.
Yeah. It kind of makes me wonder, like, if there's going to be like not like a revolt, but maybe there will be like a return sort of to like not as much technology. You know what I'm saying?
I kind of backtrack it.
Like backtrack it. Like we've gone a bit too far. Like we need to take a step back.
No, that's not going to happen.
I think there will be a group. I think there will be like a contingency of people. They're just like, yeah, we're still going to use technology, but we can't really go any further. Like this is sort of like if you want to keep your humanity, like this is the edge.
Yeah,
like you can't walk off the ledge.
We can't go past this.
Yeah,
it's not going to be a Dune situation.
Yeah,
where they try to maintain the human element at the decision making. I don't think that's going to happen. I think we're going to just jump. We're going to go way too far. We're going to fly way too close to the sun.
Yeah, lemmings.
We're going to fucking Icarus this thing and all burn up.
Yeah.
That's what's going to happen. I hope that we're lifting everybody's spirits. Let's. We got really far into the episode, so let me go ahead and bring in the podcast.
Okay. Who was it that posted that on the Facebook page this week?
About
was it Steven? He was like,
oh yeah, it was Steven. It was like a podcaster 40 minutes into the episode. Let me bring in the podcast. Yeah, we're absolutely guilty of that. So let me bring in the podcast. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the 56th episode of the Thicc Bois podcast. Well, let's try and take it in a more lighthearted direction.
Right. To kind of end this thing.
That way you guys aren't all doom and gloom. Yeah. And we'll jump right into our Super Cringe Thursday pick for this week. So, for those of you who didn't see it, this is another musical Super Cringe Thursday
Boy, I
pick.
hate those.
Wesley really hates those. I always try to find those when I'm sending you like my picks.
Yeah, I'm just physically. I can't.
So what it is a. Did it say it was a choir tryout?
No, I think it's a choir.
So it's like a gospel choir of like all these like 70, 80-year-old people. And
there's one 45-year-old.
one 45-year-old like director. And they're doing covers of all these different hip hop songs. like your top 40 hip hop songs, right? And the one that they start out with it's that Eminem song, the one from 8 Mile. What is it called? What's the name of that song?
Shit.
Where he's like, if you had one chance, one moment to seize this, that, whatever.
Yeah. Oh, damn it. I can hear the song in my head.
Yeah, you guys probably know what we're talking. Let It Go, something like that. Yeah.
No, Let It Go is the song.
Yeah, that's from Frozen. Yeah, it should have covered that. So that song, I said that it's a clear example of, not every form of media is directly translatable into another form.
No.
And hip-hop to gospel choir is one of those things that just doesn't work.
No.
Orchestra and heavy metal is like peanut butter and jelly.
No. Oh, the S&M?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the Metallica and the San Francisco Orchestra.
Yeah.
Mwah.
Oh, yeah.
Mwah.
Chef's fucking kiss. It's a beautiful...
Fantastic.
The Ecstasy of Gold is one of my all-time favorites. It's such a short track, though, but it's just... I want it to last forever.
Right.
Just live in my head forever.
They've got 2 of them now.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, there's 2 different... There's the initial one that they did, and then they've done another one back in like 2019.
Oh, I need to go listen to that. So these old people, this old choir.
These old people.
It's like 30, 40 people. And it starts out with the director, and he's doing like the initial like introduction where Eminem's like, if you had this, you had blah, whatever.
Yeah, these old people, like, the fuck is he talking about?
They go into the chorus where Eminem is rapping. But if you have 40 old people rapping those lines all at the same time, it just sounds like a cafeteria. It's exactly what it fucking sounds like.
It sounds like a bunch of side conversation.
Yeah, it does. Just going on all at once. It's so funny because when it's just the director and like the instruments going, it kind of sounds like a song.
Right.
But then when the choir comes in, it's just immediate, just noise.
Just background noise.
It's just background noise. And then they do a couple of different songs. At one point, they get to Hey Ya by, is that Andre 3000 or is that Black Eyed Peas?
No, that's Andre 3000.
So there's a part where he's like, I said, what's cooler than being cool? And you go, ice cold.
Yeah.
But all the old people are like, ice cold. I'm cold.
And they're all really old.
Really old.
Really old.
And off time.
Yeah, it's not good. It's really bad.
It's so bad.
And I think at the end of it was like, please vote for our choir. And like,
yeah.
When was this filmed?
I don't know.
God, I hope they're all dead now. So that they don't have to see this.
As a mercy to them.
As a mercy to them. God, what an awful thing.
It's rough, man. That's a rough one. There's this one.
That son of a bitch choir director.
There's this one old lady they keep like panning to, and she's into it, man.
Yeah.
She's like bobbing her head back and forth. Like she's singing, "Here Comes the Sun." Yes.
Yeah, these poor people, they were around, like, some of them probably fought in World War II.
Yeah. They grew up listening to the Andrews Sisters.
Right.
Yeah, they didn't have no business singing these songs.
And all of them were bad.
Yeah,
there was not
one good one.
No, it was all bad. All of it was bad.
Well, this is not the first Super Cringe Thursday where there was a choir singing a hip-hop song. I mean, we had the one with the little kids singing Soulja Boy.
Oh, yeah.
That one's bad.
That one's bad, too.
That one's real bad. And there was one person in that choir who was really getting into it. That little blonde-head boy up front. She was jiving.
Oh, God.
Like he walked out there and was like, "What's up, my soul, brother?"
Oh, God.
Yeah, the why is it, do you think, that the musical ones, the song ones, are so cringy? Is it because, okay, I think this is what it is. The reason why it's very cringy to me, but it's more so cringy to you. But I think the reason that they're so bad is because the people doing it don't understand how cringy it is. It's that lack of awareness.
Right.
I think is what makes that so bad.
Right. I think I have like a physical reaction to it because I remember as a child, like our parents making us do like the choir, like
in vacation Bible school. Yeah. Ooh.
And I remember like one of the things was like, "Oh, we're gonna have you pretend to play guitar."
Oh.
Yeah. And like I was like 6 at the time. I didn't understand.
Yeah.
I was like, "What? I don't." Yeah. And then like after, I just remember like for years after that, it just bothered me. Yeah. I was like, but I wasn't playing it. I was like, how stupid.
It's just for the parents to enjoy.
Right.
You know, some of the parents are sitting there going, "This is fucking cringy.
You're right.
This is rough."
And I guess, I don't know. Like, I don't know what it is about like music. Like
poor performances.
Like poor performances.
It's kind of the same thing. Like, you ever watched a comedian bomb on stage?
Yeah.
That's
bad.
That's
especially
rough.
like when they don't like embrace it. Like if a comedian gets up there and they're bombing and they're like, "Yeah, I know this sucks."
Yeah.
Like it makes it a little bit more
but I'm
palatable.
the one with the mic.
Yeah, but it makes it a little bit more palatable.
Yeah.
When they start like panicking and they're like trying to like get the crowd, like, just, come on, it's funny. Let's all laugh together.
Please
like,
laugh.
Yeah, that's
Bush.
not.
Please clap.
That's what I've always said. Like, as like a comedian, like if you got up there and you started bombing, probably the best thing to do would be like, "Hey man, I got 5 more minutes left in this set.
Yeah.
So all of you are gonna fucking sit here."
That's what Bill Burr did.
Right. With the Philly?
In Philly.
Yeah.
You ever heard him talk about that?
He's
He's not proud of it.
no.
But it's one of the funniest fucking things I've ever seen.
Well, the funniest thing is like they were booing him and then he turned them.
Yeah.
And they were like cheering for him at the end.
Bill Burr is a master of his craft.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely. He's up there with Dave Chappelle.
Oh yeah.
Is one of the
Bill's
all-time
fantastic.
one of the all-time greats.
Like if I had to like rank like my top 3 most favorite comedians. First, boy, that's tough. That's a rough one.
For me, it's a toss-up between Bill Burr and Louis C.K.
For me, it's tight, but it's between Louis and Chappelle.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man. So my top 3 are probably going to have to be Bill Burr, Louis C.K., and Dave Chappelle, but I don't know in what order.
Yeah. So
I don't know what.
If I had to rank them, I'd say Louis first.
Yeah.
Louis is my favorite.
Really?
Just, like he's.
I love his delivery.
When I first started getting into like comedy and
Yeah.
everything, like he was the one that I was like, oh shit, he's really really funny.
Yeah.
And just his turnover, his turn rate is so quick.
Yeah.
And just like the jokes that he makes, like nobody else is making those jokes.
Yeah.
Like,
He always surprises you.
right.
Yeah.
He's like, like on the podcast that he did with Joe Rogan, he was sort of explaining like how he goes about it, and he's like, I always say shit that you're not supposed to say.
Yeah.
He's like, and then I take you with me.
Yeah. Like we're all in this together.
We're all in this together. And he's like, and everybody's really uncomfortable and they really don't like it. He's like, but my job is to try to get you to laugh about it.
Yeah. I think that the 3 of them, between Louis C.K., Bill Burr, and Dave Chappelle, they all have different styles.
Right.
Where Louis C.K. is more of like what I guess I would call a traditional comedian with like setup and punchline and things like that. Dave Chappelle, I just enjoy listening to him.
Right.
Like, I could just listen to him talk and tell stories. And with Bill Burr, I mean, Bill Burr gets up there and he's just venting. He's getting it out. Like, he's got this poison in him that he has to get out, and he just does it in front of hundreds of thousands of people. And I think that's like his therapy.
Right.
Yeah, but it's, I think they all have very distinct styles. I tell you who I used to really like back in the day was Louis Black.
Yeah.
He was a ranter.
Yeah, Louis Black's a lot like Bill Burr.
Yeah.
Yeah, they kind of have like the rant style.
Yeah. But I think that Bill Burr always felt better when he walked off stage. Right. I think Louis Black was angrier when he got off stage. He never really felt any better about it.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the great thing about comedy is there's so many different types of comedy. Like, really anybody can find the type of comedy that they're looking for.
Yeah.
Like, if I'm listening to a podcast, like my favorite comedic podcast is Theo Von.
I love Theo Von.
Like, his delivery, for some reason, podcast just suits him like really, really well. He's got great stand-up too. I really enjoy his stand-up too, but his podcast is like number one for me when it comes to like comedy. Yeah. It's like a comedy podcast. One
of the funniest things to me about Theo Von is he's so socially inept. Like, he's just like, if you ever see him like on Joe Rogan's podcast or fucking him and Bobby Lee, if you ever watch a conversation between him and Bobby Lee, he's just dogging on Bobby Lee, but he doesn't realize he's doing it.
Well, Theo, he just says some like the craziest shit.
Yeah.
Like, the fuck is he talking about?
And he just has like the craziest like non sequiturs.
Right.
Like they'll be in the middle of a conversation and he'll be like, yeah, dude. It's like one time I got ran over by my own grandma. Just like, all right, tell me about that.
Like, I've heard him always talk about some like tree that somebody carved some tits into. People would jerk off to this tree.
Oh man,
he's great. I love him. I love Tom Segura. Tom Segura is like a storyteller, though.
Yeah,
like that's sort of like his whole deal.
I like a good storyteller.
Right.
Yeah, for sure. I like, I like self-deprecating humor a lot too, but some people don't know where that cutoff is.
Right.
And it gets weird after a minute.
Right.
Like, that can't be your whole thing.
Right.
You can't do like an hour-long special up there just shitting on your own self.
Right.
Because then the audience, they're not laughing with you, they're laughing at you at a certain point.
Right.
I know I said it before, but when I did my little stand-up a couple years back, that was one of the most terrifying things I have ever done in my entire life.
I'm certain. You're like bearing your soul to...
Yeah. I have enormous performance anxiety, and I always have. Like, even when it was like a fucking marching band, and I was surrounded by, I'm not the only person out on that field. There's 100 other people.
Right.
Even then, I was just like, what if I fuck up?
Right.
And then I did that one time right in front of everybody. But yeah, doing stand up was something else, man. Like the whole leading up to the weeks leading up to that show, I was just a mess. Mary couldn't stand to be around me. Yeah. I made her cry in Red Lobster.
You should have put that in your stand-up.
But yeah, so last night I made my wife cry in Red Lobster. Yeah, but it's just like walking up on the stage, and I kind of got into a rhythm of it.
Yeah.
Like I rehearsed my set. It's only 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Right, but that's the longest fucking 5 minutes I have ever experienced in my life.
And especially too, once if you get nervous, then you're speeding up your cadence as you're talking, which makes the 5 minutes shorter. Yeah. Or it makes the 5 minutes longer, but you have less material because you've used all of it up.
I actually they'll flash a light at you when your time's up, and I got flashed about 45 seconds before I was done.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh dang! I was like, I actually made it through this thing.
Yeah.
And I even did a callback to tie it all together.
There you go.
But man, I tell you, writing jokes for a 5-minute set is so fucking hard.
I bet it's like, well, what the fuck am I going to talk about?
Yeah. It's like, it's different like when me and you get down here and we could talk for an hour and a half.
Right.
Like if we weren't for this timer, we'd go longer than that.
Right.
But when it's just you and you're speaking at a void,
right?
And like you don't know if what they're gonna laugh at what comes out of your mouth,
right? I'm sure, like, if you were to do more stand up, like, you could, like, the podcast would probably be a great place to sort of like gather ideas.
Probably, yeah.
Instead of like just like sitting down, like, I'm gonna write a joke.
Yeah. Yeah. We had mentioned before that sometimes like if you like when we went to go see Bill Burr like last October, whenever it was, a lot of his jokes that he had in his set, I'd heard him tell those jokes or some variation
on
thereof
the podcast,
on
right.
the podcast. So I could kind of see that he was kind of workshopping a little bit that way. So yeah, that probably would be a decent writing tool. But when you're just trying to fucking raw dog it onto that page, man, that's a hard thing to do.
Just sitting there with fucking Word open, like, what the fuck am I supposed to be doing
just
here?
staring at that blank document. Make the funny happen.
Like that episode of SpongeBob where he's like, I'm doing it.
Yeah. What I learned at boating school is. I saw a clip today on Twitter about. It was a clip of a new SpongeBob episode. It is unrecognizable.
Really?
It is unrecognizable. I don't know what they've done to that show. Like the voices sound different. It's all the same voice actors. It's still Clancy Brown as Mr. Krabs and Tom Kenny as SpongeBob and all those guys. But it's definitely it's the pacing.
Right.
The pacing is way too fast.
Yeah.
They don't give enough time for the jokes to breathe.
Right.
And that was one of the things we learned in class was you have to kind of let the joke breathe. And that's like, if you tell a joke, don't immediately move into the next one. Like let it sit for a second and then move on to the next one.
That's really interesting too, because like I've seen documentaries and everything, not to be off track, but like professional wrestlers, like they like don't speed the match up, like slow the match down.
Yeah.
Like you want to work the crowd, and I would imagine it's the same way with like comedy. Like you try to get the crowd involved.
Yeah. Because if you're just up there like fucking speed running this thing, the crowd's gonna be like, what happened?
Yeah, done.
Yeah. Bye. Yeah, everybody's gonna be like, what the fuck even happened? What did I see just now?
Right.
But that was the feeling I got when I was watching this clip. I was like, even like for a second there, I was like, am I watching this at like 1.5 times speed?
No.
Like, what's going on here? And I was looking at people kind of talking about it, and everybody else was kind of mentioning like something feels off about this. Something feels off. And then so I went and I just kind of got curious, and I was like, I went on YouTube and I was like, new SpongeBob episode review, something like that, just to see if anybody was talking about it.
No.
And one guy had mentioned that the reason that the pacing of the show is so much different is because the targeted demographic is still children watching SpongeBob. Right. It's not us watching SpongeBob. This clip of SpongeBob is the first thing SpongeBob I've seen in, I don't know, years.
No.
He was like, but it's, they do a lot of research. What are the kids into? What do they think is funny? What's the style of humor here?
Right.
And what's the most popular social media app right now?
TikTok.
It's TikTok. And TikTok is very fast-paced. You ingest the thing, and you're on to the next one, on to the next one, on to the next one. And that's exactly how the show is structured.
I just don't understand. I don't understand, like, trying to make adjustments to a show in order to compete with a media app.
I don't know.
What's the point of that?
I don't know if you would say compete with it. But they're... Oh, sorry, everybody. That was my my Apple Watch. I achieved my move goal.
There you go.
I've been sitting in the one spot for an hour and a half. Yeah, I don't know if I would say that they're competing with it, but they're definitely trying to structure it after something that kids are familiar with.
No.
I think because if you took a kid who's like addicted to TikTok and... all this fast-paced stuff is constantly in his fucking face. No. And you make him go watch...
Number one, that's poor parenting.
Oh, yeah, of course.
That's Chinese spyware. Take it off your phone.
Yeah. But then you try to make that kid watch, like, one of the early episodes of SpongeBob, they're going to be very bored with it.
No.
They're like, why? They're like, this show is boring. Nothing's happening. It's like the episode, like, one of the all-time best episodes of SpongeBob is when they deliver the pizza.
Yeah.
And there's so many scenes, like, every, like, minute to 2 minutes is dedicated to one gag.
Yeah.
And in this clip I saw, every like 3 seconds, which has got to be a nightmare to write.
Yeah.
That has to be a nightmare
I
to
wonder
try
what the
and
churn
storyboard
is
that.
for writers on that show now.
I have no idea. I don't have no idea. I mean, SpongeBob is a flagship
For Nickelodeon.
for Nickelodeon.
Really the only one that they really have anymore, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, I mean, even Cartoon Network is pretty sparse with their shows. I mean,
because you can't write shows like that.
No.
Like if you're trying to write shows where you're hitting the punchline every 10 seconds to get a dopamine hit.
Yeah.
It's like you can't write a story that way. Like you can't do anything that way. Like even think about a really fast-paced show that we grew up with. So like Ed, Edd n Eddy. That was fairly fast-paced.
Yeah, yeah.
But even still then, like it's like it takes them a couple minutes to sort of get the gag.
Yeah.
And be like, here's the thing.
Right.
You know?
Like even that show is as fast paced as Ed, Edd n Eddy was. Like think about the one episode where they were having the squirt gun fight in the junkyard.
Yeah.
Like they spent a good amount of time per gag on that episode.
Yeah.
But comparatively, that I could see how that would be boring to a kid now, because nothing's happening. There's too much downtime.
Yeah. Well, I mean, who's to say that? Have they tried it like that? Have they slowed the pace down for an episode? Just be like, let's see what the feedback is on this.
It's got to be all market research. I don't think anybody's taking chances anymore.
Yeah, it's so sad because it's sort of like the same deal that we talk about with like they've kind of like sucked the soul out of music.
Yeah,
like there is like it's all market research for music, and everybody's like they essentially like
formulaic.
Yeah, here's the 6 chords that we use, and we'll just organize them in this fashion
because we know it works,
and we know that it works.
Yeah.
It's like then we're gonna have somebody auto-tuned over the top of it, and then voila, we have a hit single.
Yeah,
and it's gonna be about something fucking stupid.
Yeah, just some like
nothing. Yeah, what are the kids into? We're gonna sing about fentanyl.
Yeah, fentanyl. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of hard to sit here and really make a point about SpongeBob, because SpongeBob isn't being made for me anymore.
No,
it was being made for me, 20 years ago.
Right.
But it is strange to outgrow a show like that.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's like, think about like when we were kids, and think about all the shows that were on Cartoon Network. Dexter's Lab, Powerpuff Girls, Samurai Jack, Johnny Bravo,
Cow and Chicken,
I Am Weasel. There's tons and tons and tons and tons of stuff. But when those Hanna-Barbera cartoons would come on, like Grape Ape and the Jetsons and the Flintstones, those always bored me because they were structured like a regular sitcom.
Right.
Because that was when those animated series were starting to come out. They didn't have anything to go off of, so they just they did, okay, we'll just do what the sitcoms are doing, but do it animated.
Right.
So I can kind of see, how that works. Right. Like the newer generation would be bored by what was interesting to me, the same way I was bored by like the old Hanna-Barbera cartoons.
I also think that it's interesting that like everybody was always talking about like the current like setup for TikTok and like the reels and everything, where it's you're getting like 30 seconds and then it's on to the next thing.
Yeah.
But it's like obviously like podcasts are this massive success. Like people will sit down for hours at a time and listen to a podcast. Yeah. It's like, so obviously there's still market share there for that. Yeah. So,
well, I think the thing with podcasts is that, there's so many different types. Like if you're into movies, or if you're into, true, like crime's a big thing. People love crime podcasts. There's podcasts dedicated to just talking about one show.
Right.
And a lot of people use podcasts just as background noise.
Right.
I know a lot of people listen to our podcasts when they're driving around, like to and from work and things like that. So I think that podcasts serve a different purpose than
but I mean, really, aren't you really doing the same thing with a TV show? Like, if you sit down to watch a TV show, it's like I'm not actually doing anything. Like I'm leasing my time to this TV show
that's true.
To entertain me.
Yeah, but I don't know very many people who just sit down and listen to a podcast and do nothing else.
I mean, I guess that's true. But I'm always constantly doing other stuff when I'm watching TV anyway.
That's true. Yeah, I do the same thing.
No.
It's very rare that I'll just sit there and stare at something for a while.
Right.
Speaking of TV shows, before we get out of here, a couple episodes ago, I had talked about how it was when Aaron was here, and we bitched about the Halo show and how they fucking butchered it. And then I talked about how the Last of Us TV show was getting ready to come out. And I had mentioned that they told the girl who plays Ellie, you know, don't play the game, don't familiarize yourself with the character or whatever. I have watched the first 2 episodes of that show, and it is fan-fucking-tastic.
Really?
It is so good. It's so true to the original source material.
That's good.
It's almost a shot-for-shot, one-for-one recreation.
Have they finally figured it out? Have they finally figured it out? Oh, if we just follow the source material.
Yeah.
It's like, we don't even have to do anything original. We can just do the exact same thing that they did there. And voila.
There it goes.
There it is. Like, imagine. Imagine it would work. Imagine that it would work.
It's like, okay, think about this. Say you're going to open up a restaurant in a town where everybody loves cheeseburgers. That's the favorite thing. Everybody loves cheeseburgers. And you say, I'm going to open up a cheeseburger store. But my cheeseburgers won't have buns. They'll be made out of fish and be slathered in pickle juice. And the people aren't going to like that. And then when they don't like it, you call them racist. But now we have somebody who went to Cheeseburger Town,
right?
And they opened up a cheeseburger store. And they sold cheeseburgers, and you are not going to believe this. It was received very well.
Yeah, right.
Who would have fucking thought?
Who would have imagined?
Who would have fucking thought? And it's kind of sad as a Halo fan to see the Last of Us fans get this great TV series, and I'm sitting over here with this fucking heap of dog shit.
This fucking dumpster fire.
They're over there like, hey, how's your show? It's like, it's great. Yeah, Master Chief's face. That's what we all wanted.
Which is really sad because, like, they've had some... Halo has had like some. They've had a couple of different things that were. I wouldn't say they were great. They were okay. Like there was like a small movie that they did. I think, which was.
Are you talking about Forward Unto Dawn?
Yeah, Forward Unto Dawn.
That's a great movie.
That one was pretty good. They had like those little animated series that they had with the different Spartans and everything.
The Halo Legends.
Yeah, Halo Legends. Yeah. That was all right.
My favorite one, because Halo Legends was like a compilation of a few different things. My favorite one that they did was that watercolored one.
Oh yeah, that was a good one.
Of the Arbiter, like being trained or whatever. That was so stylistic and cool.
I really liked that one. That one was good.
Yeah, so there has been some good Halo content that's come out in this 343 era.
Right.
But the games, just the meat and potatoes of this is not good. It's not good. Halo 4 sucked because they tried to appeal to Call of Duty fans.
No.
Because, why would a Call of Duty fan go play Halo if they want to play Call of Duty?
Yeah, they're going to play Call of Duty.
And the people who want to play Halo, now they don't have Halo. So who won here?
Right.
No one.
Well, and then, I didn't play 5, so I have no idea what 5 was like, and I didn't play Infinity. I played the beta multiplayer for Infinity. I just wasn't impressed. I didn't like it. I
will say I've been playing a lot of Halo Infinite lately online. It's good. Yeah. I personally, I like it a lot.
No.
I really only played 2 modes. I played Big Team Battle.
No.
And Fiesta, where you spawn with random weapons.
Right.
It's definitely gotten a lot better. They've been working on it, so that I think we're headed in the right direction.
Right.
But what I would love to see is the game release in the state it's supposed to be in.
Right.
Not this, not 2 years later. It's finally what we were promised at launch.
Right. And from what you've told me, like the story mode is just a fucking shit show. It's super boring.
To me, it was very, very boring.
Well, it's not supposed to be open world.
No.
You stick it on fucking rails and be done with it.
Yeah.
That's what everybody wants.
It's just to make linear levels.
Yeah.
Make cool set pieces. Like this open world thing just doesn't work for Halo. It doesn't.
No.
It doesn't work. And like there's so many scenes, like cut scenes, where it's just Chief and Cortana standing there talking. Or it's Chief standing there talking to Donkey Kong, whoever the fucking brute guy is.
No.
do something, please. Can something happen?
Did they put a fucking crafting mechanic in it?
They didn't. I'm actually surprised that they didn't. They wanted to, and Joe Staten had to like fight tooth and nail for them not to do that.
Well, it's like, is everybody trying to turn it into fucking Skyrim?
I don't know.
Is that like, is Master Chief gonna go foos?
You know, everybody's biggest issue with Halo 5 was what was marketed as far as like the story, because it was really interesting. Halo Infinite was marketed. They marketed the multiplayer a ton, more than anything else. It was the multiplayer because that's where all that income was going to come from with the store and like the live servers and all this stuff. Halo 5 was marketed mostly on the campaign, the story mode,
right?
And
which was a lie.
Well, that was the issue. It was they marketed this thing as like, Master Chief's gone AWOL, and like now there's this other Spartan who's hunting him, and it was like, oh, this new Spartan, he's gonna kill Master Chief, and then they did the same commercial, but the roles were reversed. Master Chief's gonna kill this guy, and it's called Hunt the Truth, and you're like, oh, what's really gonna happen?
Right.
And then the story we got was not that.
Right.
It was nothing like that. There's 15 missions, and you play as Chief in 3 of them.
Right.
Who asked for this?
I just don't understand where it all went so wrong. Like, I specifically remember when the 360 came out, and I remember the commercials for Gears of War, that fantastic commercial.
Oh yeah,
like
with Mad World by Gary Jules.
Like, out of all the video game commercials, I think that one is my favorite. Mm-hmm. Like, beautifully shot.
The one for Gears of War 3 is really good, where they're all like standing back to back shooting, and like they're like all the bad guys are closing in on them.
Yes, that's another good one.
That's a good one.
Halo 3 had a bunch of really good commercials.
Oh yeah, like with the diorama.
Yes.
Yeah, the Believe ad campaign.
Yes.
All that stuff was so good. It's so good. It got you so hyped for
it. Just fantastic. All of it was great.
Do you remember any of the commercials for Halo 4?
No.
I don't think there were any.
Yeah.
I think I saw a poster one time.
Right. Well, it's just like, what happened? Like, what happened? Where did all my games go? Like, where are they? What did you do?
You're talking about the best-selling digital entertainment franchise of all time, and you fumbled it so bad.
Yeah, on multiple occasions.
3 times in a row.
3 times in a row. That's pretty fucking hard to do. Well, it's like I guess they just treat these IPs like, fuck it, they'll buy it. Nobody gives a fuck.
Well, there was a tall order for 343. It was a tall order because who are they? They're following up Bungie.
Right.
Who's been, they had, 10 years of this under their belt?
Right.
How do you fill those shoes? They weren't going to right away.
No.
In no reality were they going to be able to nail it right out of the gate. No. They weren't going to. But I didn't think that they were going to fuck it up quite so bad and continue to fuck it up for 12 years afterward.
Honestly, I think they would have been better off telling a different story. Just tell a different story. Like, don't...
people would have missed Chief.
Don't fuck with Chief. Just leave it alone. Like, just go away from it for a long time.
Yeah.
And then when you finally fucking bring him back, then it's a big deal.
I'll tell you what would have been really cool is if we followed the Arbiter for 3 games.
Right.
What's going on with the Arbiter? He's fighting a civil war on his planet.
Right. It's kind of a big deal.
Yeah. Let's talk about that for a little while. And then, like, at the end of that game, you could have the Arbiter, like, find Chief floating around in space, and, like, they're reunited.
Right.
We haven't seen the Arbiter except for 2 or 3 scenes in Halo 5. What? We love this guy. Where is he?
Right. He was a major player in the first 3 fucking...
Yeah. Another big issue with with Halo Infinite story in particular, is so the game starts out and you have the Infinity, which is the big ship, right? And it gets absolutely fucking shellacked by the brutes. Yeah. Like, the opening shot is the brutes driving a ship through it.
Oh.
Like, it's just there. It's destroyed. There it is. That's the end of it. And so all the characters that they wrote and tried to flesh out in the first 2 games, like with Lasky and Palmer, they never show up.
No.
You just hear audio logs about them. Where are the characters?
Right.
Where is anyone? What is Halo?
No. I don't understand. Like, is it just that, like, people, they go, I can make it better. Like, I understand that it's great. It's fantastic. It's a fucking, like, one of the best franchises that has ever been released. Mm-hmm. I can make it better. Like, do they not understand that...
What's it like to suck your own dick?
Right. Like, the enemy of what was it? The enemy of is good, of good or something, of great is trying to create perfection.
That was very astute.
Yeah, whatever the fuck it is. I don't know. Anyway,
I think I see what you're trying to say. Yeah.
Like, I don't know the exact saying, but it's like, if you try to strive for perfection, as instead of going like, why don't we just continue to follow this model that we have that's obviously worked?
Yeah. Instead of 10 years.
And it's like, well, fuck that.
Yeah, and we're going to do something totally different.
Right. We're going to do this over here.
Oh, no, they don't like this. Well, keep doing it. Maybe they'll like it.
Well, you know, it's like when Reach came out, and they had, like, I specifically remember when Reach came out.
Reach was super divisive.
Right, and they had, like, all, like, the armor upgrades and all that
like
shit.
The jetpack and the sprint.
And everybody's like, ugh. And, like, nobody, like, that's when they first started trying to do all that bullshit like Call of Duty.
Yeah.
And, like, I remember, like, I was like, oh, I don't like this at all. Like, I don't...
Yeah.
Like, the gameplay for the story was... I enjoyed the story because it kind of filled in some gaps along the way there.
It was also more militaristic.
Right.
Where Halo 1 through 3 was, like, more of a sci-fi shooter.
Right.
Reach was still a sci-fi shooter, to be sure, but it was definitely more grounded in, like, a military kind of reality.
Right. And I think the one that doesn't get enough love... is ODST.
ODST is fantastic.
You want to talk about...
Atmosphere.
You want to talk about a soundtrack.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, Rain.
All of it.
That track, Rain.
Yes.
Composed by Marty O'Donnell.
Yes.
Who else but our Lord and Savior, Marty O'Donnell? That is such an incredible track. Like, he uses all these, like, jazz... He uses, like, 5 or 6 jazz chords in the first 2 bars of that song.
Yes.
And it sets the mood so perfectly. It's so good.
And that, you know, that's the thing about the Halo games is, like, 1 had this fantastic soundtrack. 2 was amazing.
Yeah.
3 was also, like, just blow you away. It
wrapped everything up.
It wrapped everything up. ODST was fantastic.
Yeah.
And then once 343 got their hands on it, I don't remember any of the soundtrack for any of those games.
It all runs together.
Yeah. This doesn't mean anything to me.
Yeah. Like,
you haven't done anything with this.
Yeah. It's all derivative.
Yeah.
Nothing stands out.
No.
I just remember how much I don't like it. We can sit here and bitch about Halo for hours and hours because there's a lot to bitch about. It's a Star Wars thing, right?
Right.
There's more to bitch about than there is to be happy about. But one good thing that I can say, at least in the video game world, is the Dead Space remake.
I saw you post about that. Yes,
has released, and it is a triumph. How good that is!
Really? They just like clean some stuff up and
it's a total from the bottom to the top remake.
Really?
Like all like the. You know, even just the visuals, which are spectacular. Even the game that released back on the 360, it still holds up. But this one, the remake that released recently, looks so good. It looks so good. It's just the graphical fidelity. It's so solid. It's not buggy. The characters aren't glitching. People's eyeballs aren't falling out of their heads unless they get killed.
Unless it's intended to happen.
Unless it's intended, scripted. They overhauled the story a little bit, but all they did was change up how some of that information is presented to the player.
No,
it's written better, in my opinion, than the first game. The first game was solidly written, but they improved upon it in this. A lot of the story beats, they added new things here and there. They struck this really good balance between letting the original game come through where it needed to, and then embellishing on things where they could,
right,
without getting in the way of what we all remembered and what we all liked about the first game. And being that this came from EA was very surprising. Because they could have, shoehorned in some multiplayer mode with like a live store and a battle royale and all this
fucking
shit.
loot
boxes. And nobody would have been surprised if they did that. We were all surprised they didn't do that.
Right.
So I mean, honestly, it's
It sounds to
impressive.
me like it was probably a passion project for
It
somebody.
absolutely was. You can tell just by looking at it that a lot of love went into that.
Right.
The people who worked on that loved the first game.
Right.
And it's amazing what you can do if you let people who like something make something.
Isn't that sort of what we said about Velma?
Yeah.
Like, why would you fuck with the Scooby-Doo IP if you hate Scooby-Doo?
Yeah. Imagine if Isaac Clarke was a black girl in the remake, and all he did was complain about white people. And then when nobody liked it, you just call them racist, and then you move on to the next thing. It's just business as usual. And then we all die in nuclear fire, and nothing ever got better.
Well, I mean, there's been a couple of video games that have got like both of the Doom video games just
Oh yeah,
fantastic.
And they're so different from one another.
Oh yeah,
Doom 2016 and Doom Eternal are vastly different games, but they're both fantastic.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Like it's.
Of course, a big part of that is Mick Gordon, his soundtrack.
That's true.
Big part.
It's
of that.
amazing what a soundtrack will do.
Yeah, no kidding.
But again, the Doom, not to take anything away from Doom, because that as an FPS, that's a fantastic game.
Yeah,
fantastic. You cannot play that game like any other game.
No,
there is no.
It's not a cover shooter.
Right. You cannot sit still.
You gotta move.
You gotta move.
It's just adrenaline.
Right.
Keep moving.
Right.
Yeah. Which is interesting because that's how the first Doom was.
Right.
You had to keep moving. You had to keep shooting. And really, that's the core tenet of that game.
Right.
So a lot of Doom 3 kind of missed the mark with that.
Yeah.
They kind of went from like this horror kind of thing, which Doom was never really a horror game.
No,
it was just kind of like an adrenaline shooter, like shoot the funny looking demon man.
Right. It's not like a Resident Evil game.
Yeah. And it doesn't take itself too seriously.
No.
They knew exactly what they were making.
Right.
It's a game where you're a space marine, you shoot demons. Like, how serious can we be about this?
Yeah, wasn't like the original game, like he was attacking them because they like killed his bunny rabbit.
Something like that. Yeah.
Like it was like that was the whole premise of it. It's like that's a bridge too far.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
enslaving mankind, I'll let it slide.
But you killed my rabbit.
Yeah, you killed my
and
rabbit.
Now it's personal. Well, I think that's about all we got time for today, everybody. I hope that we kind of lifted.
Yeah, hopefully we turned it there.
Yeah,
at
I
the
hope
end.
we lifted the mood a little bit by bitching about video games once again. At least we weren't bitching about the state of the world,
That's
right?
true.
So thank you again, everybody, for listening. We really hope that you guys have been enjoying the podcast. I know that you have been enjoying the podcast because we've been looking at the numbers and everything's moving up, baby.
Yep, there we go.
All our lines and bar graphs are starting to go up there. So, as always, make sure that you share the podcast and leave a like and a rating, a review, and all that good stuff. Since we can't advertise anymore. I'm going to try and figure out how to get logged into the Twitter and be more active over there and try and gain some traction in that arena. Hopefully without pissing anybody off and getting canceled. So if you haven't yet, make sure you go give us a follow on Twitter. If you want any stickers, make sure you let us know, and we can get those to you free of charge. And if we said anything that was wrong or we pissed you off, make sure you let us know. You can contact us at thickboypodcast@gmail.com or shoot us a message on the Facebook page, and we will read out the correction here on a new segment we have called I'm Sorry.
Do we have any corrections for this week?
We do not, actually. Rachel did she did tell me a lot of stuff. Remember me talking about that Trisha Paytas girl? Who was beefing with Ethan Klein?
Oh, yeah.
She told me a bunch of stuff. Like, apparently that woman's like way worse than I thought she was.
Oh, really?
Maybe I can get her to like write me up something. I'll read it out. But it was pretty intense. But yeah, do you have anything you'd like to close with?
Nope, just thank you for the continued support. I am going to probably buy the sound dampening things so we can put them on the walls down here.
I've been looking at getting like a camera and some lighting.
Yeah,
like some light, because like all we have right now is like
the overhead,
the ceiling fan with 3 light bulbs in it. You guys don't understand just how bad it is down here. So we'll try and make this space a little bit more presentable.
Yeah.
And hopefully start doing some video stuff too.
Right. I'd like to try to put the podcast up on YouTube. I think that would kind of help kind of gain additional traction.
Yeah.
Maybe open us up to a different audience. And then,
you know, a lot of people, from what I understand, a lot of people use YouTube for their podcasts anyway. So
yeah. I mean, of course, we can also put different types of content up there as well.
that's true. Yeah.
So
We can do some skits. We got some skits we want to do.
yeah, we got some ideas.
Yeah, we got ideas.
We'll try not to do anything too cringy. We gotta make a really cringy video and post it on Super Cringe. Oh no, it's us. All right, everybody. That's the podcast. Thank you and goodbye.
Bye.